Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I know it's been a while, but I got a fatty video here. It's a, rip people with, the ADHD nowadays with YouTube shorts, but fuck it. We're doing a Fraudwatch on Sylvanas Windrunner. We're gonna go over her lore and stuff, and, judge her sus moments, her based moments, just L's, W's, and in the end, just come to a final consensus, hopefully, on is she a fraud or not, based on everything. And let's just get into it. Shout out to Wikipedia. I'll link them on the bottom. They're always a amazing source with this stuff. I wasn't able to kind of cover some of their books, but they have them there. So, yeah, let's just get started. So, I think let's start as many do. Before she was corrupted, when she was kind of, chilling at Silver Moon as a Ranger General. When this was happening, she was a prominent member in the esteemed Windrunner family among the High Elves and held a big role in the Ranger General Silver Moon family. She positioned herself between her elder sister, Illyria, and her younger sister, Verisa. Sylvanas stood out apart from her sisters as the most formidable ranger and leader amongst them, and her path to this esteemed rank down the line was marked by most of her daring exploits, especially during clashes with the forest trolls in the Mani Empire at a young age, where she earned a reputation for her fearlessness and strategic prowess. Let's give her a W on that, +1. So, following this, she would really kind of go into one of her first big conflicts during one of her peaks, and that was her key role in defending Quel'Thalas against, the annoying ass horde who would always troll them, and this would just allow her to, show off her tactical brilliance and showcase her fucking arrow skills, legless looking ass.
Excuse me, Q, those are Orcai, not Oryx, so this is misleading information.
Bitch, shut your ass up. Get out of here. And she basically would just save them from not getting absolutely clapped, by setting up an alliance with the Alliance, under Turalion to repel, again, the Horde mainly, and keep safeguarding Quel'Thalas, where they'd be absolutely wrecked. It's crazy to think about, honestly, her just leading an alliance with the Alliance. It's tough because, later expansions, that does not age well, as we will cover. So, and as with this, as the conflict would evolve and alliances kind of, wavered, Sylvanas still continued to, persevere with all this shit, and would mainly promote their trusted allies such as Lorthamar, Theron, to the biggest positions of authority, with her Far Striders that she would help lead. Her contributions with all of this kind of at this point made her like Quel'Thalas's Giga Chad for sure, and they were leading pretty decent lives until, let's get into the invasion of the Undead Scourge.
I think you had it for a moment and then you lost it.
Oh well, it was nice while it lasted, right?
Sure, it was nice while it lasted.
Now, again, as the primary guardian of all of Silver Moon, following the High Elves' departure from the Alliance, faced a huge threat while Giga Chad Arthas Menethil, he may now later on soon as the Lich King, at this time just like the main betrayer of Lordaeron, where he came from. One of his first big things was launching an assault on Quel'Thalas with his undead forces. Kelmarin, who was one of Sylvanas' trusted scouts, alerted her about the approaching undead swarm, which prompted Sylvanas to mobilize her Far Striders in defense of their homeland, which would sadly lead to Sylvanas soon being absolutely wrecked.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
So she would confront Arthas directly, since she thought she was hot shit, understandably. She urged, that at this point he was basically just a full-on Death Knight to reconsider his assault, but, he was fucking far gone. And just like with his dark motives and corruption, he just, without hesitation, unleashed his huge necromantic army at the Elf Gate, which is like the main line of defense first. And, despite Sylvanas' efforts to keep them all away, they got overrun kind of easily, and Arthas breached the gate, almost no diff, aided, because he was aided with also other dark allies and formidable siege engines, so it was rough. They retreated to the second gate, where Sylvanas realized the gravity of the situation, despite her hopes that the Magisters at the Sunwell, which they worshipped, could turn the tide. The relentless advance of the undead Scourge, of course, being for a long time the Lich Kings, bitches, simps, whatever you want to say, kind of just shut her down, and Arthas, in his pursuit, mainly sought the Key of Three Moons, which was essential for accessing the second gate, which was a little tougher, which would lead Sylvanas to sabotage the bridge and attempt to impede his progress there. So, even trying to, work with these tactics, Arthas' kind of prep and determination still easily would, overcome every obstacle in his path, and just led to the inevitable tough confrontation with Sylvanas around, the east of Fairbreeze Village, and during this, she probably knew it was desperate, even with her skill and expertise. She found herself easily outmatched by, him and his, probably the cool sword in fiction, come at me, Frostmourne. It was his dark magic also. Just like the sword easily shattered anything she could do and just impaled her, which would later corrupt her, and it kind of only went downhill after this for a while. So I don't know. I'd give her maybe this is a jobber moment for sure. So let's give her a -3. But also, it was kind of good that she pulled up on him knowing she was gonna get fucked. So I'll give her a +1 there. And she tried her best also, just generally defending. So I'll give her another +1. So just -1 overall. But it's hard to really do much when you're facing fucking Arthas, when he's almost at his peak. And again, this is where it goes quite bad for Sylvanas. She basically just got fatally hit with Frostmourne, and at this point probably wants to die bleeding out, but Arthas has no chill, and instead just rips it out, and rips her soul out, so she serves as a mostly undead, just fractured her soul almost completely, just leaving her frozen in time, while whatever remainder endured the torment of undeath. It did give her some abilities, I guess. She had shouts of kind of shadow magic, and could go in and out of shadows, but still not worth it, I feel especially with Arthas deciding to be super base and literally force her into some humiliation ritual, as he forcefully paraded her around Kel'Thalas as he finished the siege there, and basically he forced her to watch all her people die, and also the brutal fall of High King Anasterian Sunstrider, and the destruction of the Sunwell she worshipped. So yeah, everything just went to shit there. If we were covering Arthas, you'd get some based points for sure, but unfortunately for Sylvanas, we're covering her, and I think that's a jobber point for her, so -3 there. So now is her Banshee basically bound to Arthas' will. She accompanied him on many further ruthless campaigns, including the assault on Dalaran and the summoning of Archimonde. And along the way, she was able to glean hints of Arthas' past, such as his connection to Jada Proudmoore and their importance between them right before he went batshit insane. So Arthas then, after a while, returned to Lordaeron after witnessing the Burning Legion's defeat on Mount Hyjal, and he put Sylvanas there, basically just watching over the Scourge, stationed in Lordaeron alongside Kel'Thuzad, who was also kind of one of his most powerful big servants, a lich, and some other dreadlords. After a while, Kel'Thuzad told Sylvanas of the fall of Archimonde, and the subsequent months after, a couple of dreadlords such as like Vremothras, Deathrok, and Balnazar were still unaware of their master's fall. This being Archimonde, the very powerful demon. They would still like watch over the area in Sylvanas, but when Arthas just fucking came back from Kalimdor and just told them like Legion's failure and that he just wanted all the fucking scourge to himself entirely, the Dreadlords basically just fucking fled instead of like trying to pull up to Arthas like bitches, and he turned his attention to purging Lordaeron of all life in tribute of Ner'zhul. Kel'Thuzad cautioned Arthas about human refugees escaping here, which could potentially be untraceable if they reached the mountain passes, but Arthas, Sylvanas, and Kel'Thuzad organized a blockade for this on the escape routes, which led to almost no survivors and just the detachments of undead troops to intercept any fleeing key humans who would be left. So it was kind of a bloodbath. So, with her banshees commanding them alongside like the Scourge and Arthas and Kel'Thuzad, for a lot of grim operations, they just killed more and more innocent civilians in the villages. But at a critical juncture, Sylvanas and several banshees began to slip from Ner'zhul's weakening control, and a fact that she concealed from Arthas and Kel'Thuzad while maintaining her servitude, because she sensed an opportunity here with the Dreadlords extending an invitation for Sylvanas to meet them in the Silver Pine Forest. There they disclosed that Ner'zhul's and consequently Arthas's power were waning, since they were both kind of connected of sorts, and they intended to seize control of Lordaeron from Arthas. And Sylvanas with this cautiously agreed, knowing his power, but insisted on her terms during this. So I'll give her a point there for initiative and leadership, and having some big ass balls to do this. After this pretty sussy baka meeting, Sylvanas summoned her Dark Rangers and ventured to Deathholm to retrieve her body, which Arthas had tormented by torturing and locking in a coffin. She also retrieved her bow and crafted a potent poison with it. So while the Dreadlords plotted to eliminate Arthas in the capital, Sylvanas devised a contingency plan, kind of feigning an alliance to lead him into an ambush. When Arthas escaped the capital after surviving the Dreadlords' ambush, because they suck ass, Sylvanas' loyal sisters escorted him into the designated location. There she struck him with a paralyzing arrow, intending to make him, suffer like he clowned her all that time ago. However, her attempt in doing this was fucked up by a female shade and the arrival of Kel'Thuzad and his forces. Kel'Thuzad, the fucking simp of the century. Because of this, she was forced to retreat and vowed to still pursue him relentlessly. She would then return to Quel'Thalas and encountered Lor'themar and Halduran at the Farstrider retreat. She then contemplated revealing herself, since they don't really know who she actually is. She's like a fucking undead banshee. But she overheard their discussions about her current appearance and decided against it, realizing they'd probably fuck her up. So sadly, she couldn't enjoy the area which she once called home, or friends, along the way. So she ventured out again, and this just fueled the fire of destroying Arthas. Overall, I'll give her a point. She literally tricked Arthas into getting wrecked. Unfortunately, Kel'Thuzad, again being a huge simp, blew it. But it was successful in the ambush, so that's pretty impressive since Arthas is very good tactically too. So now with Arthas having left for Northrend, Sylvanas found herself and her free-willed sisters alongside her in a monstrous state, despite her freedom from Ner'zhul's control. Vremothras, who was a dreadlord who used to work together with Sylvanas, approached her with an invitation to join him in a new order with other dreadlord brothers. However, Sylvanas obviously valued her newfound freedom and declined the offer, prompting Vremothras to warn her of potential consequences for defying the new rulers of the Plague Lands. So with this possible tip of a stupid dreadlord ambushing her with an attack, she of course wanted her own army, so using her Banshee abilities coming in clutch, she would possess and control local leaders she found. These could include Mugthol, Bandit Lord Blackthorn, Null Ruler Snarlmane, and Murloc Puddlelord.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Those who just resisted her control were just straight up eliminated. That's some based points right there I'll give to her later. So with Vremothras' aid, they confronted and defeated Deathrock, who had used Garithros and his men as puppets to protect himself. They were kind of conniving. So she's kind of becoming like a top dog of sorts. So before launching the more so independent attack on Capital City without Arthas upper sleeves, Sylvanas discussed the fate of Garithos' humans with her warriors, intending to also use them for battle. And during the assault in Capital City, Sylvanas and Vremothras attacked from different directions. After clapping out resistance, Sylvanas and Vremothras proclaimed themselves the rulers of the Plague Lands and formed the Forsaken. With this, Sylvanas then set about building her empire of undeath, which she freed more undead from the Lich King's control. Arthas is kind of like, Lich King arc by now, or almost, and establishing the Undercity as the Forsaken's capital. Meanwhile, Vremothras informed Sylvanas of Arthas' fate in Northrend. This included the strong likes of Balnazar and his other, decent demonic allies defending it. Afterwards, Sylvanas tested Vremothras' loyalty by ordering him to kill Balnazar, which is also pretty based. Give her points for that. And the events surrounding King Tyrannus in the Imperial Chamber. Sylvanas focused on her plan, though, in the Undercity, allowing for the creation of a new plague by a Forsaken named Putris, seeing it as a weapon against Arthas. She then kind of embarked on several quests of sorts. The first or several big ones. The first to find her former lover, Nathanios, where the spicy drama was at the very beginning, where she eventually freed him from the Arthas' control and named him her champion in seeking vengeance against Arthas. Along the way, she also raised new allies such as Villanara, the Dark Ranger, and encountered individuals like Rhaegal Valdred, who she over time released from her service since, fodder. And one of the other big journeys she went on before joining the Horde was going back to, her home place of origin, Kel'Thalas, where her arrival just coincided with the emergence of an asshole being Darkhan, a traitor who wanted to harness what remained of the Sunwell's potent energy. In what remained of Silvermoon, Sylvanas joined forces with Kaligos, who was a pretty dope blue dragon, in a desperate attempt to, cut off Darkhan being a dick. And despite, having hard times at first, her cunning nature bought enough time for Neva to come out, who was the mysterious figure linked to the Sunwell, and regain her strength to one-shot Darkhan. And, even though Sylvanas is brutal and kind of off the rails in a lot of aspects, she still pledged to keep Neva's identity a secret, both to kind of contain what's left of Kel'Thalas, and to prevent Arthas from exploiting the Sunwell's power. This restraint, I feel like, and, mentality, still able to do good, I feel like will get her a nice W and a nice point for all this. And meanwhile, of course, she had to take care of the rise of the Forsaken, which was a huge turning point of the quest for vengeance, since they were growing, having established a formidable empire in the ruins of Lordaeron, and at this point facing uncertainties about their long-term sustainability. I don't think she thought they were going to get this far, so she knew they needed some allies. Although her attempt with the Alliance ended in failure, since, they're racist and all that shit, I'm team Horde. Sylvanas found a more receptive audience with the Horde, particularly among figures like Archdruid Hamul Rune Totem and Karen Bloodhoof, the esteemed Tauren war chieftain. Their belief in the potential redemption of the Forsaken and the strategic benefits of an alliance led to the forging of the pragmatic partnership between the Forsaken and the Horde. This alliance not only provided the Forsaken with a more secure foothold in the Eastern Kingdoms, but also facilitated their cooperation with organizations like the Argent Dawn, which bolstered their defenses against common adversaries. I'd say it went pretty well overall. Give her a W on that, a point. The Forsaken now, of course, under the lead of Sylvanas and empowered by the Horde, embarked on a journey of expansion. Having liberated the minds of the undead, previously enslaved by Arthas, Sylvanas curated an impressive faction with Nathanios Maris appointed as her champion, entrusted with training new recruits. She orchestrated the creation of pivotal institutions like the Deathstalkers, who were renowned for their prowess as a spy network, and the Royal Apothecary Society, who were dedicated to developing potent concoctions capable of challenging the Scourge's might. She also delegated crucial tasks, such as Arima Thras's mission to conquer strategic territories in southern Lordaeron, showcasing her foresight in growing and mobilizing her forces. Additionally to this, she played a pivotal role in integrating events like Hallow's End into Forsaken culture, celebrating their heritage and resilience. I think in growing her dominion, while also, as just mentioned, being able to keep her people in role and, not go crazy with all the shit facing them. I think that's another W, embracing heritage and culture and all of that good stuff, so can't complain. So the next big period for her we're going to cover is the Burning Crusade, and we went over it a little bit already with the Sunwell incident. That was like one of her main first early involvements in it all. But in short, the Burning Crusade was basically just referring to the return of the Burning Legion, the demons of Sargeras primarily, and they're just dealing with all that shit. I believe it was Doomlord Kazak who reopened the portal. But regardless, during this period, Sylvanas, despite all of her issues, still remained loyal and guarded Kel'Thalas, and it manifested in her continuous offers of aid and support to the Blood Elves. The Blood Elves were a big concentration within the Burning Crusade, and the Blood Elves found themselves grappling with that aftermath of the Scourge invasion. They got done very dirty in that sense, and the subsequent events that followed. Despite initial hesitations and suspicions from the Sindarai, Sylvanas persisted in her efforts, offering supplies, troops, and strategic assistance when she could, and her actions were driven not only by a sense of duty, but also by a profound connection to Kel'Thalas. Her commitments here were exemplified by her appointment of High Executioner Mavrin to collaborate with Dame Arifroris in combating threats like Darkhan Drathir, who was a former foe, once fighting against the Scourge with Sylvanas. Additionally to this, Sylvanas played a key role in advocating for the Blood Elves' inclusion within the Horde, which leveraged her influence and strategic might and swaying key figures like War Chief Thrall, who's a Chad, in favor of the Alliance. I think these efforts, which you could say were rooted in her complex emotions and memories tied to Kel'Thalas, showcased her a big commitment to her heritage people, and showed good political complexity and kind of skill. I will give her another point overall for all of that. Soon after, having felt Arthas open his eyes as a Lich King and plagues flying everywhere, Sylvanas and her Forsaken started to embark on the Northrend campaign. Their forces, which were under the banner of the Hand of Vengeance, struck from the Howling Fjord with a pretty good navy. Sylvanas personally oversaw the deployment of this, which ensured that everything in the Forsaken's arsenal, including their advanced plague research, was ready for the conflict, since they were probably the underdogs in this case, you could say. One of the key Forsaken installations in Northrend was the new Agamand, where the Royal Apothecary Society worked tirelessly to perfect their plague for uses against the Lich King.
Someone cooked here.
Fight fire with fire, I suppose. This mission had been years in the making under Sylvanas' guidance, although with all of this, the pivotal moment arrived during the Battle of Angathar, the Wrathgate, where Grand Apothecary Putris, operating under Sylvanas' orders, unleashed a new plague in a shocking way, which kind of betrayed her, since nothing goes her way. I feel a little bad. The chaotic aftermath of this happening, the new plague, its release resulted in just complete devastation, which fucked up like a lot of people, claimed lives from all factions involved in the battle. Sylvanas reacting to this, having went full try-hard planning this, now faced the repercussions of its consequences and set the stage for further conflict within the Horde itself. I think, sadly, I'm going to have to give her a -1 for this. Just complete failure, and the apothecary just, betrayed her. Kind of like she did dirty Arthas at the very beginning, trapping him and almost killing him before Simpy Kel'Thuzad stopped it. So right after, in the aftermath of the turmoil that triggered in the events of the Angrathar Wraithgate situation, a rebellion erupted within the Undercity, unsurprisingly, since everything just blew up. Verimathras and his demonic forces allied with Putris, which may be surprising, and seized control of the city, which caused, a lot of chaos and bloodshed. Sylvanas narrowly met her end during this coup. She was, back to the wall, and just escaped to Orgrimmar. Of course, determined to reclaim her city and prevent the Dreadlord's dominance, Sylvanas and Thrall, Thrall my man, devised a swift counterattack plan though. However, because Sylvanas' life always has to kind of suck in a lot of ways and always be more annoying, when they were doing their preparations, Jaina Prodmore decided to just bring in huge King Varian into the mix now, breathing down Sylvanas' neck, because he was responding to both all four dragons' demise, and wanted to just, really have this as an opportunity to have a conflict with the Horde, since, being King of the Alliance, not a big fan. He wanted clarification regarding the Wrathgate betrayal, and Jaina conveyed Varian's intentions for his retribution here, so not coming in with a smile. And although Sylvanas and Thrall clarified the Horde's non-involvement in Putris' actions, Jaina again cautioned them about Varian having a hate boner here. Once all the preparations were in order, she led the Horde army and returned to the Undercity, determined to reclaim her throne, of course, alongside Thrall and Vol'jin. She spearheaded the assault into the city and kind of rallied all the citizens along the way that survived. And in the, anime showdown in the throne room, Sylvanas vanquished Verimathras and regained her seat of power. Meanwhile, King Varian launched his own incursion from the sewers, ultimately eliminating Putris. The discovery of the Forsaken experiments on captives fueled Varian's wrath, understandable, pushing him toward declaring war on the Horde.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
However, with this, Jaina did intervene and teleported Varian and the Alliance back to Stormwind without his consent. That's some base points for Jaina, but sadly not covering her. I will, of course, though, for the anime showdown, give a point to Sylvanas again here for reclaiming the Undercity, with that scheming little shit Verimathras and Putris now dead. But, she's not done here. She kind of just had the height of the fight, I believe, and with them now defeated, and her authority, in play again, Sylvanas faced some doubts and suspicions regarding her involvement in the Wrathgate incident as time went on. And despite her denials, rumors, and all of that, it still persisted and prompted Thrall to station Kor'kron guards to oversee the Forsaken, if anyone wanted to assault them. But undeterred, Sylvanas set her sights on Northrend, eager to confront Arthas in the finisher, revenge arc, per se. In the Frozen Halls campaign, Sylvanas led Horde forces into Ice-Crown Citadel's treacherous halls to confront the Lich King, now at his peak, you could say. At this point, accompanied by her strongest and most trusted allies, she continued to win, all the battle against the Scourge, outnumbered, and aimed to secure Frostmourne to weaken Arthas. Probably the smartest way to do it, since they're so intertwined, closely linked. And after overcoming more waves and dealing with the treachery of the Scourge Lord Tyrannus, Sylvanas confronted the Lich King in what should have been the Super Anime Battle 2.0, but unfortunately, she shit her pants and just, let's say, with quotations, tactically withdrew. I guess to be fair, if Illidan Stormrage can't bring him down, I don't think she can. So she left and realized that, we need some heavy hitters, or some more of them. So she brought Tyrion Fordring and another group of paladins and other champions to deal with it. And Tyrion was able to get the final strike in against Arthas, killing him and bringing an end to his strong rule as the Lich King. I'm going to give her -2 for kind of a jobbing here, just going away from the fight entirely without even trying. Maybe it's a little PTSD, to be fair. We'll do -1 then in that case, since it's still a big L. But we'll also give her a +1, because she was a tactical mind in the driving force, and basically had this vendetta against him, understandably, for so long that she was one of the main reasons it finally happened. So she got her way. So some might think, hey, a lot has been accomplished. She finished her mission she's been striving for so long. Is it over? Hell no. She still has multiple expansions worth of stories. So now we move on to Cataclysm, where she's still dealing with the bullshit of the Wrathgate incident, with the Forsaken facing more scrutiny within the Horde itself, leading to the banning of the Forsaken's Blight's use. While this was happening, Sylvanas received orders to move south into Gilneas, where the Horde sought a strategic port in northern Lordaeron. With this happening, she then spearheaded an attack on Gilneas and initially succeeded in capturing the city, driven by the desire to acquire the legendary Scythe of Elune. However, she was about to have a furry overload attack her, with the Gilneans' control over the Worgen course, and their unity led to Sylvanas facing off against King Gen Greymane, Darius Crowley, Prince Liam Greymane, and a united Gillian resistance. So she went to the furry convention she did not ask for. While panicking here during this moment of battle, faced from all sides of Worgens, Sylvanas aimed a poison arrow at King Gen, but inadvertently struck Prince Liam instead, leading to his death. Having now faced pressure from a new war chief and the loss of Gilneas, Sylvanas ordered the city to just be drenched in blight. With this, though, the Forsaken ultimately lost Gilneas to a nighttime raid by the 7th Legion. For this attempt, I'm going to give her -2 rep points for basically getting outplayed and surrounded by a bunch of furries, shitting her pants, and then having to just try to drench everything in blight, and then just getting outplayed by the 7th Legion, having taken over Gilneas before she could finish it off. In a meeting soon after with Garrosh Hellscream, Sylvanas first introduced her newest allies, being the Valkyr, whom she used to raise fallen enemies as Forsaken, now addressing the issue of the undead's inability to reproduce. Don't have those dongs and such, Despite Garrosh's revulsion to this,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
Sylvanas continued to strengthen her forces with the Valkyr's help. She personally led her forces into Silver Pine Forest, facing off against Gilneas liberation fronts and other enemies. The battle here saw strategic moves, including the resurrection of Lord Godfrey, before Sylvanas employed a ruthless tactic, using Lorna Crowley's capture to force Darius Crowley's surrender. In all this turmoil and crap, she was fatally wounded by Godfrey, and then resurrected soon after by the Valkyr, which solidified her belief in their importance to the Forsaken's future. She continued to strategize for conquests, even contemplating complete control over Lordaeron as a potential path to satisfaction and her people in it. I'll give her 1 point here. Even though she did get lethally hit by Godfrey, she did basically just raise as we see, a promising new ally in the Valkyr, and they just defeated the fucking stupid Gilneas in the end, Liberation Front. So overall, pros over cons. Additionally to this, Sylvanas engaged in diplomatic maneuvers, sending Lady Coswin to the Twilight Highlands and commissioning a powerful staff for a young Forsaken priest. However, her actions and growing similarities to the Lich King drew scrutiny from neighboring factions like the Argent Crusade and Knights of the Ebon Blade. Although, you could argue they're just fucking paranoid. So this just makes things more politically complex.
You have done here, Sylvanas. It goes against the laws of nature. Disgusting is the only word I have to describe it.
War Chief, without these new Forsaken, my people would die out. Our hold upon Gilneas and Northern Lordaeron would crumble.
Have you given any thought to what this means, Sylvanas? What difference is there between you and the Lich King now?
Isn't it obvious, War Chief? I serve the Horde.
Watch your clever mouth, bitch.
I feel bad for the Forsaken. In another instance, during the Battle of Anderhall, Sylvanas disguised herself to intervene in Kultira Deathweaver's dealings with the Alliance. She expressed disappointment in Kultira's truce and sought to reshape his loyalty through drastic measures, underscoring her continuous commitment to the Forsaken. Leading up to the siege of Orgrimmar soon after, there was one key Horde leader meeting convened by War Chief Garrosh Hellscream. Sylvanas expressed hesitation, hearing Garrosh's plans to attack and brutally crush the nation of Theramore in doing so. Regardless of this later on, amid the Horde rebellion, Vol'jin vaguely referenced Sylvanas as a potential ally against Garrosh Hellscream, since he was a big dick and problematic, acknowledging that, she needs no excuse to strike against him. Sylvanas actively participated in the siege of Orgrimmar, though, and led the Corcoran's forces in the Underhold wing of Orgrimmar alongside Malkorok. And during the final confrontation in Orgrimmar, she engaged in combat against the many adventurers before being subdued by Vol'jin and Bane Bloodhoof, which effectively ended her role in the siege, since she was going batshit crazy. In the next big chapter, Sylvanas was still one of the key leaders of the Horde, and played a significant role during the events of the Warlords of Draenor. With Garrosh Hellscream's trial and subsequent escape to an alternate Draenor in the past, Sylvanas was part of the Horde expedition led by War Chief Vol'jin to deal with the threat posed by Garrosh. As the Horde established a foothold in the Tanaan jungle, Sylvanas aided in securing strategic locations and battling against the Iron Horde, which was an alternate version, a universe version of the Orcish Horde led by Grommash Hellscream. Her strategic and combat skill were definitely instrumental in securing these victories in the Horde and further gain their trust. Additionally, Sylvanas played a key role in gathering intelligence and planning covert operations against the Iron Horde, aiding them greatly through her utilization of her spy network and assassins to gather crucial information and just sabotage and screw everyone up. I'll give her a point for that. She's definitely packing with, again, spies and assassins. She's not someone to fuck with. During the following events of Legion, Sylvanas' storyline primarily started to focus on her role as the main war chief of the Horde, and her interactions with the Alliance and the Burning Legion's threat, which was ever growing.
They will not understand what you must step out of the shadows and lead. You must be war chief.
As war chief, Sylvanas led the Horde's efforts against the Legion, working alongside other leaders such as Varrock Sourfang and Vol'jin before his sad passing. One significant development was Sylvanas' quest to secure more Valkyr to bolster the Forsaken's ranks. This led her to Stormheim, where she clashed with Gen Greymane and the Alliance over control of the Halls of Valor and the power of Valkyr within. The conflict escalated, with Sylvanas and Greymane engaging in a fierce battle aboard the Forsaken gunship, the Vengeance's Wrath, as they call it. This clash underscored the ongoing tensions between the Horde and the Alliance, while Sylvanas is prioritizing her faction's survival and expansion. Amidst the Legion's invasion, Sylvanas also faced internal challenges within the Horde, particularly from those who questioned her methods and leadership styles. However, her determination and strategic accumulation remained undeterred, and she navigated the complexities of leading the Horde in a time of many existential threats. So, again, without being extremely overwhelmed, she still managed to keep her cool, kind of clapped Greymane after, a decent fight, and kind of stuck her role still as the Horde #1. Give her another point for that. The Battle for Azeroth expansion saw Sylvanas' character arc take a full center stage as she became the, full alpha central figure in an escalating conflict between the Horde and the Alliance, with, little Anduin coming into play as the Alliance, #1 in this case also. Following the events of Legion, where Sylvanas secured more Valkyr and faced eternal descent, as usual, she continued to solidify her position as war chief, pretty used to it by now. One of the defining moments of Sylvanas' storyline in the Battle for Azeroth was the burning of Teldrassil, which was the World Tree, a decision that shocked both factions and led to significant repercussions throughout Azeroth. This act of aggression against the Night Elves intensified the hostilities between the Horde and the Alliance, setting a stage for full-scale war. Sylvanas' motivations for burning Teldrassil were complex and shrouded in mystery, to say the least. While some believe she acted out of strategic necessity or desire to demoralize the Alliance, others speculated darker motives tied to her past and her relationship with death and undeath. I'm actually going to give her -1 now. I think she's kind of trauma dumping on this tree and literally fucked everyone up. I do also think it was impulsive and a little maybe stupid. Unsurprisingly, throughout the expansion after this, Sylvanas remained a polarizing figure, go figure, with the supporters admiring her strength and leadership, while critics questioned her methods and the moral implications of her actions, such as burning the tree. The escalating conflict between the Horde and the Alliance, fueled by Sylvanas' decisions, and the broader geopolitical tensions, accumulated in the battle for Lordaeron and subsequent confrontations that tested the very foundations of Azeroth's factions. And I'll be nice and give her a gentle point here, just because at this point, she's the full-on war chief and able to run a full-on scale war that is harming the entirety of Azeroth with its intensity. So after patching things up, at least a little, Sylvanas embarked on another pivotal journey to Icecrown Citadel, where she confronted the Lich King, Bolval Dragon, and his Scourge forces. Remember that the Lich King itself is kind of just like a host or a disease to corrupt others. It's not just like one person like Arthas. This time it did Bolvar dirty. So with emerging victories, she seized the helm of the domination from Bolvar, initiating a significant turning point. The act of shattering the helm ruptured the barrier between Azeroth and the Shadowlands, which symbolized Sylvanas' defiance against existing cosmic structures, proclaiming her intent to liberate everyone from what she perceived as a collective imprisonment. Heavy W's here. I'll give her 2 points. Not only did she learn from her mistakes with Arthas, just running away at first, not knowing what to do, and getting Tyrion involved, but this time she pulled up fully, did the job, shattered the helm, no fucks given, and had great intentions in doing so. Recovering right after post-battle, Sylvanas strategized with Nathaniel's Brightcaller, having assessed the aftermath of their actions, and despite setbacks like Buon Samdi's survival, he was just like, a big asshole, powerful like Loa that controlled the souls of the dead, working against them, or one of their allies, Sierra Moon Warden's capture. Sylvanas maintained confidence in overcoming these challenges, and her interaction with Nathanios reflected a stronger dynamic partnership and shared determination which would help down the line. Moreover, Sylvanas' actions had far-reaching consequences, disturbing the balance between life and death. Her disregard for the fate of loyalists hinted at her singular focus on achieving broader objectives, regardless of collateral damage, which is understandable. Some soon-to-follow revelations from the Edge of Night underscored Sylvanas' clandestine alliance with the Jailer, who was an ancient entity ruling over the Shadowlands Maw. This partnership began during the events preceding the Fourth War, revealing Sylvanas' role in instigating the conflict. Her strategy involved orchestrating widespread death to fuel the Jailer's strength, demonstrating her willingness to pursue drastic measures for power. Give her +1 point for this. That's kind of based, to be honest. Aligned with the Jailer, Sylvanas wielded the Mossworn as a formidable force against their adversaries. Her encounter with Anduin Wrynn and Torghast revealed her disillusionment with traditional notions of justice, advocating for radical restructuring of the cosmic order. Sylvanas presented Anduin with a stark choice: join their cause or face coercion, showcasing her belief in reshaping destiny according to her vision. And I'm going to give her a -1 for this. I think she's kind of batshit insane again, off her knocker a bit. And, poor Anduin, I think he's in the right here. Just getting absolutely done dirty by Sylvanas having a power trip. As all this continued, and the conflict escalated into the Sanctum of Domination, Sylvanas took a pivotal stand against the Mawwalkers and their allies. Leading the Mossworn defenses, she engaged in a desperate struggle to protect the Jailer's stronghold. Despite formidable opposition, Sylvanas' resolve remained unyielding and buying crucial time for the Jailer's plans to unfold. I don't know why she did this. Jailer is such an asshole. Ultimately, though, Sylvanas faced a moment of revelation and defiance. As mentioned before, I think, it's always an asshole. Rejecting the Jailer's true intentions of enslaving all beings, she launched a defiant attack. However, her defiance led to a transformation as the Jailer resorted to a fragment of her soul, altering her demeanor and allegiance. Overwhelmed by the encounter's intensity, Sylvanas fell into the hands of her adversaries, settling the stage for further revelations and confrontations in the ongoing struggle for domination within the Shadowlands. Again, I think this is a +1, -1 situation. +1 for, getting ahead straight again and having big balls to, even in a tough situation where she had a power trip, she fought against the Jailer, knowing what he did was wrong. But in doing so, she kind of just got absolutely clowned by him in a second, and, just got done dirty yet again. Kind of like the Arthas situation 2.0. So, after enduring torment within the Shadowlands and confronting the consequences of her actions, Sylvanas embarked on a path of redemption and renewal. Uther's intervention played a crucial role, guiding Sylvanas to confront the fractured aspects of her soul. Through introspection and guidance, Sylvanas reconciled with her Ranger General identity and acknowledged her past atrocities as the Banshee Queen. This inner dialogue, facilitated by Uther's shared experience, marked a pivotal moment of self-awareness and acceptance for Sylvanas. Upon regaining her unified soul, Sylvanas joined forces with Jaina, Bolvar, and others to confront the jailer's schemes. Recognizing the potential within Sylvanas to resist the jailer's domination, the group sought ways to empower Anduin and counter the looming threat. Sylvanas' pivotal role in infusing resistance against domination into the Helms of Domination's shards showcased her evolving perspective and determination to oppose the jailer's tyranny. The culmination of Sylvanas' journey led to a moment of judgment in the crucible atop Ouroboros. Facing the repercussions of her actions, Sylvanas willingly submitted to the scrutiny of her peers and the new arbiter, Pelagos. Despite the collective disdain and mistrust directed at her, Sylvanas accepted her fate and vowed to undertake a penance that would redeem her past transgressions. Sylvanas' decision to scour the maw, liberating trapped souls and seeking renewal for her victims and herself, reflected a profound shift in her character as she embraced her new role and acknowledged her complexity of her legacy and expressed hope for eventual reunion with her lost loved ones. Her resolve to confront the impossible task ahead, accompanied by the unexpected arrival of Anduin in the Maw, hinted at a potential path towards redemption and reconciliation. This was a fresh path she would soon know for all of eternity, as Tyrande, who helped run Sylvanas' trial, banished her, and basically spending her afterlife in a limbo of sorts, saving other souls from the torment of eternity, as she tormented others for so many years. This is a tragic yet somewhat heartwarming path, and I would give her plus fucking 3 for this, since it's honestly such an arc. It's a little sad, but she found her way, and, she faced the consequences, but she knows what she's done, and wants to become a better person, no matter the punishment. So, in the end, what is she? Is she a fraud, or is she not? Well, counting up her points, and all of her feats, and vice versa, she comes up with a ground total of plus 10. So she's indeed not a fraud, and she is legit. And that is all for now. Respect Sylvanas, respect the grind, and thank you for watching, my friends. Keep it cool.